Hello everyone, Miss Fleming here. First of all, I want to say that I miss you a lot and I can't wait to see you again. I hope right now you're staying safe and warm and you're taking advantage of all of this time you have at home to practice your parts, because that's very important. So today we're going to focus on the first clarinet part of Echelon Echoes. And if you're not on the first part for this, make sure you selected the correct link, because there should be a help link for the second part as well. So we're going to go ahead and start at the beginning, and we're going to focus on rhythm. So if you look in measures 2, 3, 4, and 5, you will see that some of those measures have 16th notes in them. When we start looking at a piece like this and focusing on rhythm, it helps to count it. So make sure that you have a metronome handy and set it to a comfortable tempo, and you are going to count it on your own. I'll show you what I want you to say, but you're going to practice this as much as you can until you get it just right. So starting in measure 2, listen to me and then try it on your own. 1, te, ta, 2, te, 3, te, 4, 1. Rest, rest, rest. 1, 2, te, 3, 40, te, 1. So notice how in measure 2 it's 1 teta, and then in measure 4 it's actually 40 te. So the 16ths in the first rhythm are in the second half of the beat, and then the 16ths in the second rhythm occur at the beginning of the beat. So there's a difference between 1 teta and 40 te. And make sure on the 40 te that you're holding that 8th note long enough and not getting to beat 1 of the next measure too early. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my instrument on the correct notes just so you can hear what it should sound like. 2, 3, 4. And remember that we are playing this at a forte dynamic, so you want it to be strong, you want it to be bold, and that'll actually help all of the accents come out. Remember, rhythm is the most important thing here, then the correct notes, and then we can add in the stuff like articulation, such as the accent marks, the trill, the staccatos. All of the style comes last, but I want you to focus on the rhythm first. Okay, so the next section that we have, lively, starts in measure 13, but we're going to be looking ahead to 14. 14, 15, and 16 actually. So again, we're going to focus on the rhythm. I'm just going to start counting at 14, and I want you to pay attention to where I count. 1, 2, te, te, 4, te, 1. Rest, rest, rest. 1, 2, te, te, 4, te, 1. So if you notice on beat 2, there's a 2 te, and the te actually ties into beat 3. So we're not going to play on beat 3. We want to make sure that we're playing on the te of 3, also known as the upbeat. And this also helps if you have a metronome, so I want you to count along with your metronome at a comfortable tempo. 1, 2, te, te, 4, te, 1. Rest, rest, rest. 1, 2, te, te, 4, te, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my instrument just so you can hear what it's supposed to sound like in context. And then ideally we would move on, but I want you to pay special attention and keep playing this over and over until you are sure that you have the rhythm right. All right, the next portion of this piece that we're going to look at is starting at measure 29. Just looking at 29, it is very different from the beginning of this piece. The beginning of the piece had a lot of faster notes, so like 8ths and 16ths. There's also a lot of style and a lot of space between the notes with accents and staccatos. Down here at 29, if you look closely, there's actually a lot of white notes, so they're held for longer, and there are a lot of slurs, and there are a lot of dynamic changes. Down here we want to focus on the lyrical section. So to sound lyrical, we want to sing through our instrument, and to sing through our instrument we need lots of air. We need everything to sound very smooth and connected. So starting at 29, we have an A, and for this A, since we go to B next, I want you to keep your bottom hand down. So for A, you should have 1, 2, 3, and your pinky key, and then the A key. And this is going to make switching from A to B easier and faster and smoother. So just make sure that you keep that bottom right hand down. Going from A to B, since we're going over the break, you're going to need to push a lot of air through your instrument, and it needs to be fast too. And it helps that we have a crescendo here. You should be blowing fast air as much as you can. Listen, and then I would like you to try it on your own. So if you noticed, my air was so fast and so smooth that you didn't even hear a break between the A and the B. What I don't want this to sound like is if it sounds like that when you play it, then you're probably not blowing fast enough air. And remember, use the crescendo as a tool to help you get that to sound smooth. All right, so we just worked through the section starting at measure 29. Now we're going to look ahead to 45. At measure 45, actually I would say 46, we see that we have a similar rhythm to what we had earlier. 1, 2, te, forte, 1. It's actually exactly the same as it was earlier. When you get to this section, I want you to count it with a metronome again. Then I want you to play it on a familiar note like a concert F. And this is also at a forte like it was at the beginning of the piece. So go ahead and play that a few times with your metronome before putting it on the correct notes. And when you do put it on the correct notes, it should sound like this. This is measure 46. And even in this section, kind of like what we worked on with the lyrical part, there's a lot of A to B action, so make sure that every time you play A or G, your right hand is put down. Worst case scenario, you don't need the hand down because you're not going to B, but in most cases it will help you anyways with tuning and getting to the next note faster. So go ahead and try that on your own a few times. The next section that we'll be working on starts at 57. Well, it actually starts a little bit before 57, but 57 is when the style changes to slow and mysterious. This is kind of like the lyrical section that we were working on earlier, but this time the slur goes through 4 measures at a time instead of just 2 or 3. So here we want to make sure that we don't take a breath during the slur unless we absolutely have to. And when you do take a breath, make sure it's not on a bar line because we don't want any gaping holes in the sound. We want it to be as smooth and connected as possible. Let me show you what that should sound like. So there are a few things in there that I want to point out. I want you to make sure that you are playing it with the correct dynamics. So whenever you see the pin marks, you're crescendoing and then coming back off. That'll make this sound very musical and very beautiful with the whole ensemble. Also, if you notice at the very end, we end on a G sharp. I want you to use side key G sharp. That's the only one we got. But remember what I said that one day in class, anytime you see an accidental, it's so important, so you have to bring it out. And something that's helpful is the composer actually helps us bring it out by crescendoing into it and then decrescendoing away. So really make sure that you play into that G sharp and that when you come back and move on, it doesn't sound like a mistake. It was there for a reason. So the last part that I want to look at is the coda. Remember that we play all the way through the piece until we get to DSL coda, and that means go back to the S sign and then follow that until it says to go to the coda. The coda is the last 3 lines on the second page. And again, this style goes back kind of to the beginning style, the opening style. This is a fanfare. So it's very exciting. There are trills, there are accent marks, there are staccatos. What I want you to do on this section is I want you to count all 3 lines with your metronome. I won't count all 3 of them right now, but I do want to show you kind of what I expect. I want you to count with the correct style and with the correct dynamic. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then you don't have to sing it like I did, but really make sure that your accents are there. I don't want you to punch me in the face with it, but I want it to be bold and strong. And then your staccatos, there should be plenty of space between all of those notes. This is what the coda should sound like. So a few things in there that I want to point out. Again, you can rewind and listen to it. It starts at fortissimo at 74. So play as loud as you can with a beautiful sound. We don't want to go too far. There's never enough clarinet sound, and I know we talked about that in our sectional a few weeks ago. So really play it as loud and proud as you can. That'll help a lot of the accents come out. Remember, there's a lot of note at the beginning of an accent and decrescendo away from it, and the staccato should have space between them. I'm just going to start at 74 so you can listen to the difference between an accent and a staccato. So a lot of the accents are on beat 1. That'll help you when we're playing it in time with the whole ensemble. It's a great place to land. And then the staccatos should be light. We're not putting too much weight on them, and that'll help open them up a little bit so there is plenty of space between them. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you have fun practicing it because this is a really fun piece. Thank you.